Okay, everyone. Linux EP23 Take 2 with James and Jordan here. As hopefully y'all can hear us. We seem to have sound this time. Hopefully. Yeah. Do y'all want to... There was a question that was actually posted on the PC Note that's directly relational to this topic. It was basically asking... what Linux distro do you recommend for someone coming fresh off of Windows? Do you want to address that at the end or to try and get that out of the way at the front? I'm fine either way.
Well, that's a long topic, but
we can do that next week. Or that might be better to do next week. Just go over, so you finally decided to switch.
Well, you want to just give a comment on?
Okay, let's see how much time we take up doing the browser stuff, and then go from there. Start with.
Generally, my answer to that one's a pretty short one, but I am perfectly fine doing that next week.
Okay, let's see where we are at the end. Want to just start with the VP8 one again?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Start on the blue one.
Yep. Okay, it's up. You're good.
Okay. Hey everyone, this is Google's VP8 JavaScript test, and here, the higher you get is better. I have Epiphany, Chrome, Aurora, Chromium, Midori, Firefox, Opera, and Firefox 4. They're all running on my Linux laptop. It's 64-bit, and it's running Linux Mint 9. Alright, no surprise here, Chrome and Chromium are doing the best. It is Google's test. They created this test. So it's not as surprising that they did the best.
Google aces the run test. Big surprise. That's like...
Yeah. So, what is a little bit surprising, not that much, is that Chrome is doing better than Chromium by a significant amount. That is more than you can chalk up to just randomness. So, I'm not sure why that's happening, but...
Well, it's like we were saying when we tried to do this last time. I think you agreed, Jordan, that there's got to be some proprietary something that Google's putting in Chrome that they're not putting in Chromium.
Yes, as far as I understand it, Chrome and Chromium are something to the effect of 99.5 to 99.9% identical. That extra 0.5 to 0.1% difference being proprietary stuff that they don't want open source, meaning probably the secret hidden stuff that makes it V8 run a little bit better. And then the branding on top of that.
Yeah, well, but it's like, it's the real thing. Was there really that much of a difference in non-V8 JavaScript? Which...
there was a difference.
Okay.
In non-V8 JavaScript that Chrome did do better in pretty much all of my tests, every one I did. Even though I didn't have the chance to do Chromium in the other tests, Chrome did significantly do just a little bit better than Chromium. Not by much, but it did do better. Right?
Okay.
Let's move on. Well, as you can see, I'll just point out that Firefox is absolutely horrible in the JavaScript test. And Firefox 4 is better, but it's not where we would like Firefox to be. I like Firefox, and I would like to see it improve here.
Yeah, some of that, I don't know how much it can. I love Firefox, and I do want to see it get comparable with the others. And roundabout is a good way. Does anybody know why Firefox just is so poor performing when it comes to an extensive amount of JavaScript?
Well, I mean, all these other browsers, Epiphany, Chrome, Chromium, Midori, and Opera, Epiphany used to use the Firefox engine to build pages, but all these people are using WebKit, so maybe Firefox...
Were they using the XUL runner, or Zul runner, however you pronounce that?
That's probably what it is. I know why they're doing that, because they want to stay entirely open versus...
I mean, I respect that, but, I mean, they got to do a lot of work to, because all these people... Oh, I'm sorry, Opera's using the Presto engine, so that's not using WebKit. So, obviously, because Opera's not using WebKit, they have the potential to get Zul runner to get as good as these things, but... I don't know. I mean, they did improve threefold, but sadly, they needed to do more.
Oh, right? And it's only beta 1. We'll see where they get. It's
right.
On the Sun Spider?
Okay.
Okay.
Alright, let's go to Sun SunSpider, the red one.
Okay.
Alright. And I'll just say it first that on this test, the lower is better. Lowest is better. So Firefox didn't suddenly
Yes,
become
for
amazing.
for those of you who are confused, this there is no standard to these tests. Sometimes a better score is better. Sometimes the higher you do, the more you flunk. This score is a 180 over Google's test.
Right. This is the SunSpider test, and this is what did we say? Like Apple made this as part of the WebKit project for testing.
Well, okay, we didn't know, and I still don't know. I should have gone and looked on it if Apple actually made this or not, or if it's. I mean, it's part of WebKit, so that would explain why all of these browsers, with the exception of Firefox, are doing exceedingly well because all of these. Opera's not using WebKit. Okay, so there's no favoritism there. But it's like one thing we should have known. WebKit is a collective. You know, that's like saying Apple invented FireWire when they were part of a group that invented FireWire. It's like I always find it's one of those things like it's a collective. It's not one company.
So I mean, looking at the
By the way,
scores here,
I just did a quick Wikipedia search. SunSpider is actually a benchmark suite that's released by Apple's WebKit team in December 2007.
So it is Apple's test. Okay.
Just to clear that up.
From what it looks like, this looks like it's a lot more neutral. I don't know what it would look like if we had Safari on this test, if it would win.
Yeah, I at some point I want to redo this test, looking at the cross-platform versions of these things, but.
But this is just for Linux. They're all on Linux. Here, Opera did the best. Again, Firefox, big flunk. And Firefox 4 improved by about the same amount it did in the V8, by about threefold. But in this one, that meant a lot more than it did in the V8. So they're actually close enough where I would say that I'm actually fairly confident that by the end of Firefox 4, once it gets out of beta, that it will be up to the rest of these browsers. I am not confident that it will do that in the V8 test. But
The one thing I think to throw in there is we've got Google's test and we've got Apple's WebKit test. Does Firefox or Zulrun or Mozilla, whoever, actually have their own test? Because at this point we're comparing apples to oranges almost.
Yeah. What's the fun part? Do you know if they do? I honestly don't.
I have not a clue.
I know there is 3 main tests. I don't know.
That's probably who the third one is. The one thing that's interesting to note on the SunSpider one, though, is the one who did best, like you said, is Opera, who isn't using.
Here we go. Dromeo, DROMAEO, JavaScript Performance Testing, Mozilla JavaScript Performance Test Suite. So apparently they do have one out there, and that's the big third one.
Okay, so yeah, we should do that definitely when we do the cross-platform one then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just to
I
make sure
would
we get the even playing field.
Yeah.
a more comprehensive test on these. It'd be nice. So maybe you can do that in a few months. See what changes when Firefox gets updated. But I'm pretty sure in Mozilla's test that Opera wins that one too.
Well, yeah, no, it's like that would be interesting to note because in both these tests, Opera isn't doing best in Google's test for obvious reasons, but in the WebKit test, it surprised the hell out of me that Opera did best when Opera isn't running WebKit.
Right. And I actually think that it does best in the Mozilla test because Opera said that the reason that they call themselves the fastest browser, they advertise that faster than Google Chrome is because 2 out of the 3 main tests, the biggies, the SunSpider, the V8, and Mozilla's test, they win the SunSpider and the Mozilla. So that's why they say they're the fastest browser. So I'm pretty sure they would win that one too.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a pretty fast browser. I mean, it's not my cup of tea, but there are a lot of people who like it.
There are other issues when it comes to Opera as a browser, like the menu bar they chose to go with and other
But I mean,
things.
I'm sure that there is some guy out there. I don't, but I'm sure that there's some guy out there who thinks that's the greatest idea in the world.
Well, no, and at the end of the day, the whole point of this is you have a choice. Which you choose to go with is entirely up to you.